Hey, it's December, everybody. Are you ready to talk some baseball? Hey, welcome back, everybody. Let's get this Guardians of the CLE podcast rolling, but it's been a while since we did an episode, so I'm going to blow some of this dust off over here because we have not talked baseball for a while. And, because in this area right now, everybody's talking Buckeyes and Browns. We just got done with some high school football, but with my co host tonight, Mr. Derek Dimmitt, let's try to talk some baseball tonight, shall we?
Oh yeah, we got the winter meetings wrapping up, and with that, kind of kicks off the hot stove portion of the off season. So baseball's still around, even in the dulls of winter, rather.
Yeah, so let's get right at it and talk about what everybody's talking about here in Northeast Ohio. That issue 2 passed, and marijuana is legal now in the state of Ohio. And I'm assuming, Derek, that's going to help many fans tolerate what didn't happen at the winter meetings, which is no big trades to announce. What did we actually do during the winter meetings? Did you notice anything in particular that's really newsworthy for our Cleveland Guardians?
I mean, maybe Antonetti worked on his country music, his line dancing, maybe down there in Nashville. Got a square dance lessons or something in. But yeah, it was pretty quiet. The only big news item was the Guardians won the lottery, but unfortunately for Guardians fans, it's not the actual lottery, so the budget is still looking kind of bleak, but we do have the number one draft pick for next summer's draft.
Yeah, and I think we had like a 2% chance to get that. And for me, I was actually on the way home from work and I had the local sports radio on, and the guys were talking through it. And they were actually getting a little bit excited about it, thinking that here it is again. It came up to the White Sox, and then all of a sudden, when the Reds were announced, to know that we actually won the draft lottery. Of course, you and I were communicating a little bit after that happened, and of course, what did you text me, Derek?
Oh crap, I don't remember
Yeah, well,
offhand.
I'll tell you. You're in your excitement. You said, "Oh, great! Something about watch this be the Anthony Bennett NBA type Cavs lottery pick." And I'm like, "Come
Yeah.
on, not we finally get some good vibes around Cleveland baseball, which we know has been pretty dormant this winter, and it just does not look like we're going to be adding much of anything to this roster. I know that there's some Bieber trade talk going on, but then you hear Stephen Voigt saying, Shane's our guy, saying the right thing. But I'm sure behind closed doors, they're looking at offers. I know there was a report that came out today about the Cubs are interested in Bieber, but then also, I can't believe the name Josh Naylor getting added to that trade. Did you hear anything about that today?
Yeah, I just heard a little bit about it. Nothing too much outside of the Cubs being interested in Naylor and Bieber. But it is interesting. We know that the Guardians got Kyle Manzardo from the Rays when they dealt Aaron Savali at the trade deadline this past season. He had a great fall league out in Arizona. So knowing that he's knocking at the door for first base, and knowing that traditionally, I know now that Tito's gone, I guess we can throw everything we know about Guardians baseball from the past decade kind of out the window, because although he liked to kind of use that DH spot to give a guy a break, like a Jose Ramirez or even a Stephen Kwan, give him a day off from the field but keep the bat in the lineup. If Stephen Vogt kind of in that same mindset, he doesn't want to have a Josh Naylor that's DHing 150, 155 games out of the season. He wants to kind of use that more as his wild card in the lineup. So if Manzardo is the first baseman, and at some point you gotta we've seen it with the middle infield spots. At some point, these guys have to come up. You can only keep them in Columbus and Akron for so long. They either play their way to the major leagues or just because of the Rule 5 draft and some of those intricacies of the bargaining agreement, you got to get these guys up here. So if Kyle Manzardo is your first baseman and you don't want to have a David Ortiz type of DH, that's your DH day in and day out, where does Josh Naylor fit in this team moving forward? And if you can pair him with a Shane Bieber or even a lesser piece, and you're able to maybe go from a C or a B level prospect up to a B plus or an A level prospect, maybe that's where we are. I think, we've been pounded into our head, about the quantity of how many prospects the Guardians have in their system. But now it might be a time that we value quality over quantity.
Yeah, and we should say Melanie Kirby, our co-host, is off this week, and I wanted to bring her name up because she loves to talk prospects, and I think
Right,
the last thing we want to do this year is talk prospects. I
right,
mean,
yeah,
it's just we've been doing it for so much. Obviously, her before me. We're looking for some major league ready talent, and losing Josh Naylor to me, it's not just about what where he would play. Would he play a little bit at first base? Would he spell a Kyle Manzardo once in a while and come out of that DH spot so somebody else could feel the DH spot? Heck, a Bo Naylor. You know, we haven't had an offensive catcher in the last 2 years until Bo started to come up and started to hit a little bit towards the end of the year. Maybe as a catcher, they're going to spell him. I mean, of course, you're going to want to give guys off days, but maybe even him with his bat because we're going to need all the offense we can get. Where an off day for him, for a young guy, is actually playing DH, so he's not behind the plate. So maybe Josh would play first that day when Bo's DHing. I don't know. We're just trying to come up with different scenarios to get as much offense as we can in that lineup because that's going to be our challenge until this off season's done and we see that final roster and what's going to be available to us in spring training with camp invites. What young guys maybe stick around longer that don't get sent down to the minor league camp. We kept talking about last year with our prospects, how it feels like how deep we are, especially in the middle infield positions. But I look, Derek, I was looking and I don't think we won any minor league championships last year with all the talent that we have down there. And I know there's a lot of movement, a lot of player movement, which makes it difficult. But I can remember some pretty good Akron teams that won the Eastern League Championship. And obviously, that's not our ultimate goal, but it sure feels like it because I've joked with you and I've joked with Mel that it feels like our roster at the major league level is almost like a 4A roster instead of like AAA. So you got double A, single A, double A, triple A. It's almost like we're 4A. And then there's the Yankees, the Dodgers. Um, who else is spending big money? Red Sox. Um,
mm,
the Cubs want to do it. The
Cubs, yeah,
Dodgers, the Giants, all these big market teams that we're just never going to be able to compete with. And it doesn't sound like any big spendings coming anytime soon. Based what I heard on the radio is that one of the things they're using as a crutch, and it's probably realistic. I don't doubt it from our front office is the in what do I want to say? The insecurity of our TV deal with Diamond Sports and Bally. So, have you followed any of that too to understand what's going on? Like, could it be in the middle of May and all of a sudden there's no deal anymore? Like, I know the Major League Baseball is supposed to step in to carry, but I didn't
yeah,
pay attention last year to the teams that it happened to. Wasn't the Padres one of them last year? I think that had that happen in the middle of the
yeah.
season.
I think it was the Padres, and I forget who else, but everything that I've read, they're gonna. It sounds like Bally's is dropping them prior to the season. I think it's the Guardians and maybe the Diamondbacks were the two that I saw that
Yeah, that's right. I
Bally's is
think you're right.
pretty much just going to say, we're done with you. We're going to try to make it work in these other markets. So yeah, there is a lot of uncertainty there. Whether there's another cable outlet that the Guardians can work with to try to work out a deal, or if it goes back to how it was when I was growing up, and the Indians at the time were on WUAB, with on free TV, which is kind of a thing of the past, but it would get them in more homes. I know a lot of people are cord cut over the past couple seasons, so that's an interesting part. And every even the NFL going more into the streaming world with Amazon Prime for Thursday Night Football and MLB as a whole. The Friday night games that are exclusive to Apple TV. That was something that if someone told you 5 years ago, hey, the NFL is going to have a game on Thursday night, but the only way you can see it is if you have Amazon Prime. Like, if someone would have told you that 5 years ago, they would have looked at you like you had four heads, because there was no way the NFL would make their make
Right.
their product so exclusive. But here they did it, and it's working. We can bitch and moan about how terrible these Thursday night games are, but people still get Amazon Prime to watch these games, and they still watch them, regardless of if it's the Pittsburgh Steelers and the New England Patriots, and both are on their second or third string quarterback, and it's a short week, and no one cares because no one's on their fantasy teams that are playing tonight, but people are still going to watch because it's football. And hopefully, baseball is behind in that sense, where, you know, a general population wouldn't say, I'm going to watch it because it's baseball. I don't care what I got to do to watch it. And, that's something that the Guardians, if they do have a free agency of sorts when it comes to their TV contract, where do they go from here? Do they try to go kind of how they did with Sports Time Ohio, kind of doing their own thing, trying to follow in the steps of the Yes Network with Yankees? Do they, look into the streaming options to see if they can work out a deal with whatever, if it's Hulu, if it's YouTube TV, is there a route that way that they can take? So it's very interesting to see what would come of it. And yes, I've heard that, that is going to be a big crutch that this front office and ownership kind of holds on to, like, oh, well, we aren't getting this money, so we had to make cuts. So
Yeah, and I'm really disappointed because I'm a YouTube TV subscriber, and I love what they do. I like the split screens that they added, where you can watch two games at once, especially during college football season, NFL. As far as last season for baseball, though, when you mentioned Apple TV, I really enjoyed the look of the game on Apple TV. I don't know, I like that. I like the commentators, and if you ask me who the hell was doing the games, I couldn't even tell you right now. But I just remember that being a little off, and maybe it's just us as fans that's not used to it. Because for us, we're used to Matt Underwood and Rick Manning and whoever else is possibly sitting in Andre Knott down by the dugout. So we have our local guys that we love. But yeah, I didn't really like the commentating, but I thought the look of it was really neat. I liked the way they would put the at the bottom, like the percentage after a strike, whether or not the guy's going to get a hit. That was kind of neat. And I'm not usually, I don't like to hear all the analytic crap. I really don't. For me, it's too much. I don't need it. Um, but in this particular case, I liked the style and how they did it as pitch per pitch. That was kind of interesting. But definitely love the view of it and the look of it on my TV.
yeah, it was very aesthetically pleasing, and I agree with you. I also am not the biggest analytics person. I can't tell you what an F war is. I can't even tell you what war is. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Don't we? Yeah, but
Nice, nice.
yeah, but yeah, I agree that Apple TV, and I agree with you. I can't name a single announcer, and hopefully, whatever comes from what's going to come with Guardians broadcasts. Hopefully, we do have that familiarity of Matt Underwood, Rick Manning, Andre Knott. Hopefully, the budget or whatever allows for that talent that we are blessed with, because you watch or listen to some of the out of market games out of our Cleveland market, and some of the announcing leaves a lot to be desired. So we definitely are blessed to
Yeah.
have what we have.
So let's talk a little bit about the Rule 5 draft that happened. One player that was available that the Guardians picked up, and I believe I got his name right, Davison De Los Santos. Here's the stat. Here's the information on him. On MLB says De Los Santos has not appeared in any games above Double A. That doesn't help us this year. But his raw power and minor league performance are enough to make him an intriguing slugger for the Guardians. A 20-year-old hit 329, slugged 22 home runs during his first full season, which was last year. This past year, he continued to tap into his power, swatting 20 jacks, but his average dipped to 254, 125 strikeouts, 25 walks. De Los Santos has a tendency to be overly aggressive at times, but he poses pop that could fill in a big need for the Guardians. Yeah, but when? I think that's what we keep asking for all of our talent that's under my. But the thing is, it says he's overly aggressive. I mean, he's 20 years old, for crying out loud. You know what I mean? So if you're a power hitter and you're that young, yeah, the discipline is something that's probably the biggest challenge, would be my guess, for any hitter, any power hitter, at that age, as you're just your body's still developing. So your plate discipline too. Some people are maybe, more players are, depending on what their hitting coaches were, but maybe somebody saw that he's just got this raw power and they're just going to let him swing away.
Yeah, definitely different than what we're used to here. We're used to, guys, the focus being get on base, slap, not quite slap hitters of, Ichiro's play style, but kind of in that realm of singles, doubles. But yeah, with a Rule 5 draft, if he's not on the opening day roster, the 26-man roster, the Guardians have to offer him back to Arizona at no cost to Arizona. So at that time, Arizona can, bring him back. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, because if he is someone that the Guardians front office wants to build around or have in have a part of the future, they'll have to find a place for him on the 26-man roster. And do we have the ability with our team to kind of forfeit, a spot on the roster for a project like that? And as it stands right now, I don't think that you do, and of course, if they make some trades here over the next couple months, the outlook of the roster can be very different than where it is right here as we're recording this on December 7th in the evening. But, if does that mean, you get rid of Gabriel Arias because he played some third base? Or, is Tyler Freeman on the trading block? Or, what, what, there has to be another move. It's one of those kind of how the deadline went, like, okay, we made this move, but soon later there was another move, and I don't think that you do that for a 20-year-old that's never been over Double A.
Well, and I know Mel kept saying that on and on over last year about this log jam at the middle infield spot, and finally it did break loose with Ahmed Rosario. But what I don't understand is that why are we not making more moves? What's the value in not doing it? Because we've been the youngest, I think, youngest team both in the last 2 years, and the first year we got lucky and wrote it out, to an extent. And I don't mean luck like we don't have any talent, but last year we came to earth, back to earth a little bit. But then again, injuries didn't help us either. So we're still trying to figure out now, in my mind, of year three with this young core, what we actually are. Going 76 and 86 last year with everything that we went through. Can we win in the 80s this year with healthy pitching? and some improved hitting. And when I say an improved hitting, is anybody going to trade for Miles Straw, please? But my point is that I really think there's a lot of room for growth this year. Just I think the baseball gods will hopefully be on our side this year with some good health. And if you get in the 80s and for your win total, you got a chance to make the World Series. If I look, I haven't. I'm trying to think in my head, but I'm pretty sure in the last few years we've had teams win in the 80s and still make the World Series. Why not us, right?
Right, yeah, especially with the expanded playoff field, more people get in than before. It used to be, your three division winners and one wild card, but now, it's up to three wild cards, I believe, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So yeah, even considering, like you said, if you can get into the mid 80s, sometimes that's all it takes. But not only do we need to bank on better health, but we got a lot of production out of three rookie starting pitchers last year, and they pitched more than they had ever before. And is there going to be some regression out of one, two, or all three? And it happens that sophomore slump's a real thing. So can we count on Shane Bieber bouncing back, Tristan McKenzie bouncing back, and those three starters that carried us and kept us afloat in the playoff race longer than a lot of people probably thought that the Guardians were going to be. You know, can we count on those five? And you always need to count on more than five, regardless. But as we sit here in December, those would be our starting five on paper. So is that enough? Or, and then you have the big question mark that is Shane Bieber. This is going into his last year of club control. So he's kind of made it clear that he doesn't, at least from what I've gathered, it doesn't look like he's going to be here long term. So at what point do you cut bait to try to get something more than another draft pick?
Yeah, I know because Shane can help us now, but what is his trade value? And I thought that's why it was so important for not only for him but for the club for him to come back and get some innings last year at the end of the season after that injury. So I think it was a win for them, for him, win for us. Question is he in training? Is he in spring training come February? And that's going to be the kicker for the entire offseason. I think that would probably be the biggest move that we're probably going to make if we make it. So, but that's our challenge as fans is like just trying to we're holding on for hope of something. And honestly, from what I'm reading and hearing, this is not the season that to expect big changes. They're finishing renovations up at Progressive Field. There's a lot of money invested in that. The up in the air TV deal. So I think it's going to be more of the same, so to speak, as we had last year. But hopefully, the baseball gods give us some good health and we can improve our win total. And the Gavin Williams, Tanner Bybee finishing second, and Rookie of the Year was fantastic. Um, Logan Allen having a nice season. So our core's there. The question is who can hit the ball over the damn fence? I mean, that's the big I think question mark for us.
Right.
Besides health, is how the hell are we going to hit home runs, especially when you start looking at what other teams are doing. And I know we wanted to get into it a little bit. We talk about the Juan Soto trade to the New York Yankees. Gave up what was that, 5 picks or not 5 picks, 5 prospects. And I don't really know the level except King, I guess, is a pretty good pitcher. Um, Long story short, it's another miss by our organization that we just not either not able to or unwilling to part with the prospects that we have to bring a Juan Soto in, which would come with a huge price tag, though. Understandable why he's probably not or was not seriously looked at by our organization to bring him in. So, what do you think he's going to do for the Yankees, though?
I mean, it's well known fact about the short porch in right field at Yankee Stadium, and left-handers taking advantage of that. And then he's going to have likely, Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge. He's going to be sandwiched in between those two, so he's going to see pitches. You can't pitch around him to face Aaron Judge and things like that. So I think he'll have a great year, and it's a contract year unless he re-ups with the Yankees beforehand. But this is a contract year for him, so it's one that he's going to want to go out there and prove that he can be in that talk of being a 30-40 million dollar a year player that we see some of these other guys get. But he, definitely looking to rebound from his year with San Diego that didn't go according to plan, and that's why he was on the move. That's why they've kind of discussed a few of their other players as well, getting some other players moved from there because they went for it. They made a lot of big moves and it didn't work out for them. And they're in the same division as the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. And the Diamondbacks were the representation of the National League in the World Series,
Right.
and at this time last year, people looked at the Diamondbacks as kind of an afterthought. Oh, you're going to call up Corbin Carroll. That's nice. He's a rookie. He's from the area, or maybe is he from the area? Maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking someone else. But, a good story like that. And, the ball bounces a certain way. And like you said, if you make it to the dance, that's all it takes sometimes. Then, you get that heroic home run from, an Oscar Gonzalez type player or, all the, anything can happen in October. And that's why we love baseball because of that promise, and that, and you can have a terrible night on Tuesday night and hit the walk-off winner on Wednesday. So it's it's why we love baseball, and it's why we're sitting here in December talking baseball because we want to talk it and people want to hear it.
Yeah, and I know the popularity is not up there with the NFL and the NBA, but with the Yankees, they're a needle mover. The Red Sox, the Dodgers, so there's some late major markets that um, can gain a lot of viewers, a lot of listeners. I know the Guardians, we struggle a little bit, but not in our area. Our area, we definitely are locked in on our Guardians podcast, our radio team with Tom Hamilton, and our TV guys. So very popular there. But the one thing to think about that was announced today, Derek, is that we may not be having all the Juan Sotos of the world coming to play at Cleveland Stadium. But you know who's coming to Cleveland Stadium this summer? It's going to be in a nice addition, and it's three Hall of Famers. That's right. The Guardians are adding three Hall of Famers to the outfield, and that is Def Leppard, Journey, and Heart. Def Leppard, Journey, and Heart. It was announced today that the Summer Stadium Tour is coming to Progressive Field on July 30th. Derek, when are you getting your tickets?
I don't know. When are they coming? July
July
30th?
30th. Def
I'll get my
Leppard.
ticket.
That's right.
I'll get my ticket on July 31st. I'll get a ticket stub from someone.
That's I see. That's how excited Derek is for the concert because he isn't like me that grew up '80s that has these bands or had them at one time on cassette. And yeah, that's dating myself for anybody that's not watching on YouTube. But yeah, it's kind of fun that I remember way back. I'm trying to remember what concert it was, but I think it was during the '95 World Series. I don't think it was '97, but I think it was a country concert. I think it was like Garth Brooks. They had it at the Progressive Field. I'll never forget there was this big bare spot out in left field from a stage or whatever, and it looked terrible on national TV. And I'm like, why are you doing this? Oh my gosh. But now that I'm older, I could care less if they paint the green or the paint all the green grass red. Um, I could care less. So it's a good time. Big concerts. I always wanted bigger concerts and more concerts downtown Cleveland, like at Brown Stadium. So Progressive Field. I think recently they had maybe 2 years ago, maybe last year, I think Billy Joel was there for one concert. So, hey, whatever it takes to make some money. But you know what? Take some of that money and get us a damn power hitter, will you? So,
Yeah, hopefully, don't stop believing.
exactly. Yeah, unfortunately, this Journey does not have Stephen Perry in it. Anybody that's a big Journey fan of the original Journey with Stephen Perry, please go to YouTube and search Stephen Perry Giants games. And they would play Don't Stop Believing during the playoffs, and he would be sitting in the stands and he would get up and he would come down and be singing and going up and down the steps. It was awesome for baseball fans to see that in the stadium, getting the crowd going during the playoffs there for the Giants. So that goes back a couple years, but it's worth a watch. Derek, I'm sure you're going to tune right into it as soon as we're done recording this podcast, right?
Oh yeah,
It's on the list.
No, I do enjoy Journey, Heart, and Def Leppard. I was just yanking your chain earlier. I
Good.
grew up on classic rock, even if I wasn't born until 1990. So
I do.
I missed some of it, but I grew up listening to it. So good memories.
Heck yeah, we're gonna get you a black shirt, rip your jeans, wear a bandana, get a chain for your wallet, and you'll be ready to go to the show. I
What's a
can't do the
wallet? I just use my phone.
can't do any big hair here. I don't have it. For anybody watching on YouTube, not much up top here. So
You just blinded everybody on YouTube.
yeah, sorry about that. I'll turn my light down. But hey, everybody that tuned in this week, we really appreciate the support that we've had during last season. And I know that we haven't been back as often in the off season. We still plan to try to go bi-weekly with you. I know Derek and then myself, a week ago, we were covering, or at least I was covering. I know Derek was doing some stuff from home. I was on site covering some of the high school football state championships here in Ohio, in Canton, Ohio. Let me tell you what a blast that was. I shouted that out on Brown and Orange Weekly earlier this week. I highly recommend any football fans out there that are in Northeast Ohio come down to Canton, attend the games. It doesn't matter if it's Division One, Division Six. A lot of good fun seeing these student athletes live out their dreams with their coaching staff, their parents, and all that to win a championship. And that's what, as Guardians fans, that's what we've been trying for what, it's going to be 76 years now to see a championship. So many generations now that have not witnessed a Cleveland baseball championship. And I predicted that last year, hoping we could piggyback off our success. Fell short. Retired Terry Francona now. So it's going to be somewhat of a new clubhouse, but I think a lot of the chemistry is going to be the same. Mindset's going to be the same. New voice with Stephen Vogt, but really looking forward to what Stephen and what he's going to bring out of these young guys to see what kind of connection he has from a player or a manager that just recently quit playing and how that plays into motivating the team. So that will be exciting. Now, the rest of the offseason, as far as our moves, I think like Derek and I talked about, the Shane Bieber thing, everybody just kind of hang tight. Josh Naylor, I know, it was whispered, but I don't know. I'm not as confident as that when he's got his younger brother on the team. And if you want to keep him around, my recommendation is keep your clubhouse guy that would, has the voice of the locker room, in my opinion, as a player. We need more of that. We need more leadership. And to take that away from our locker room, I think would not be a good idea. So, and if Shane comes back, we're gonna welcome him with open arms and go from there. So let's see what happens. Anything you want to finish out with, Derek, this week?
No, but if you are watching us on YouTube, be sure to check the Believeland page. There's a lot of great video that James and a few of our other writers got from Canton last weekend. Some highlight reels, definitely some post game press conference video. But yeah, a lot of great sites. James had one of the best videos that I personally saw of the clock running out and Massillon winning their first state championship through the playoff system. Before that, it was all AP championships voted on by newspaper. So, that was kind of their kind of thing that kind of hung over that program, that storied program, but they were finally able to lay that to rest. And James was right there on the sideline about 5 feet from Coach Moore as he took that celebratory bath on that chilly night. But I'm sure he would. I'm sure he dreamed about that, from the moment he stepped foot onto Massillon Tiger High School campus, being able to bring that championship to that school, and being able to do that, and James caught it all on camera, and so it lives on forever thanks to the great video work of James Elfritz.
Well, hey, I appreciate that, Derek. It was a lot of fun. I can't believe I got paid to actually do that. It was special to be a part of that after being there week one. So what we're hoping is that Gatorade bath that I saw the coach take in high school football, we hope that there's a lot of those celebrations coming up this upcoming season for our Cleveland Guardians, because February 24th, looks like that'll be our first spring training game against Cincinnati Reds, of course, since we share facilities there in Goodyear, Arizona. And, honestly, let the time slow down a little bit. Let's enjoy the holidays, enjoy the seasons with your family, with your friends. Try not to stress out over it. And let's just look forward to spending time with each other as we appreciate the time that you spend listening to us. So, with that being said, we're going to end this episode. We want to say go Guardians and continue to follow us on X at Guardians OT CLE, and continue to follow us at Believe Land Media with all the different podcasts and everything that we're covering. As Derek has mentioned, high school sports. We have the Pile Driver podcast. Plenty of things available. If you have any feedback for us, please reach out. Send emails. Go on the website. You have our Twitter handles at the Fritz 330. Send me a DM. Things you would like to hear. Would you like to be a part of a live chat? We've talked about doing some live broadcasting, getting some interaction with you guys. So please, we would love to have some interaction on that. If you guys are interested, call it out. We want to hear it. So with that being said, Derek, I appreciate you jumping in with us, talking some baseball in general and some Guardians baseball. And for everybody else, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Take care and go Guardians.